Okay, I hope we're back up. This is our third try tonight. I am Buddy Martin. This is the show called The Buddy Martin Show. If we get it launched today, we're trying. And hang in there with us. We got Shane Mathews on the line, and hopefully our audience will rejoin us in just a moment. This, of course, is Florida Georgia week. Let's hope things go better for the Gators than it's going for us tonight on this little soiree. So stand by while we try to get Shane in here and start talking Florida Georgia week. I have a question out there to everybody. The question is, if we got our audio working now, hopefully we have. Check in, folks. Let us know. I see a few people joining the show now. As soon as you join, folks, let us know if you're in audio okay. We should be getting it now, hopefully. And maybe we're back rocking and rolling again here. So, Buddy Martin Show, Shane Mathews standing by. Shane, let's go ahead and talk about some ball here this week. Thank you, Perry. We are back on this, I think. All right, Shane. Shane, good to talk to you again. I've been out and about. What'd you do over the weekend? I know you play a little golf for sure, and I tried not to watch too much football, all right? I tried to have a little balance in my life. I took a trip and saw some friends and family and people up in Georgia, not related to the Florida-Georgia game, and I like getting away from it for 24 hours. And, Shane, it's almost a release sometimes when you don't have to worry about the Gators winning in a game or losing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was out of town, played some golf as well, but I did watch a lot of football. I enjoy sitting around watching ball, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different. That's what I used to do before I started doing the radio. So I don't really get to watch a whole lot nowadays. So I enjoyed being out of town, hanging out, playing golf, and watching some ball.
And beautiful weather, by the way. It's fantastic weather, man. Great time to take a little vacay, whatever. If I could just say a quick shout out to people I visited up in Georgia. Hello to the Ford family up there, especially Ty. And, of course, I want to thank my folks here for supporting me during this time. And it was nice to have a day, if not off, at least a day away from football. Now, Shane, we're back. It's time to get serious about, and I didn't get a chance to hear your show this morning, but what are people saying about Florida, Georgia? And I want to ask you a question. When people say they got a puncher's chance, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think everyone realizes what Kirby's built at the University of Georgia. It's a phenomenal job what he's done. I mean, they're going for a three-peat. Hasn't happened since the 30s or what have you. They got a lot of good football players, and they haven't lost in quite some time. So we all know Florida's in a rebuilding process, but college football is crazy. I mean, even the National Football League is crazy. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. I mean, if you watch this weekend, there were tons of upsets. Yeah. So, look, you just got to go play. You know, ball bounces your way. You get some breaks, get some turnovers. You never know. Play your best game of the year. You definitely have a chance of winning.
Yeah. Shane, I want to get down to some specifics about Florida, Georgia. You played in several of them. I think you played in 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
3.
So I mean, I'll just say who had told me one time this is Coach Spurrier said, if you haven't played or coached in the Florida-Georgia game, you don't know what it is to have your sphincter tighten up. It's that kind of game. So this is what I'm worried about with as good as Graham Mertz is playing and Ricky Pearsall, although he's played in one, is it? I keep hearing Ricky talk about, Graham talk about, well, I played in the big games. You played in the big games. You did. I understand that. Wisconsin played some Ohio State and Penn State, what have you. But, Shane, I subscribe to the fact that there's really nothing quite like Florida, Georgia. That's just Texas, Oklahoma. What do you say?
No, it's a tremendous atmosphere. I just approached it as another game. I mean, I think Graham will be fine, quite honestly. He's very composed and believes in himself. And, it's a big game, but you just got to go play. I mean, it's going to be half and half. It's a great atmosphere. There's not anything like it other than OU, Texas. And should be a lot of fun on Saturday.
When you talk about Florida, Georgia, you talk about one man who dominates. If you take Urban and Steve together, they just dominate Georgia completely. I'm going to have a chance to talk to you about that this spring, sitting down and talking about how they're able to win the rivalry games. But Coach Spurrier once said something to me, and he repeated a couple weeks ago. He quoted, I think it was who's the guy? It's not Sun Tzu. It's the other guy he always quotes. He said, "When can
John Wooden.
no, it's a businessman. I wrote it in my column last week. It's a guy who he quotes a lot, and he said when confronted by a difficult or impossible task, act like it's no big deal. That kind of personifies Steve Spurrier, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's like I told you. I mean, it's a big game, but you just go in there and go have fun and play the game and see what happens. And I feel like that's kind of how we approached it. And hopefully this team will do the same. And you just play the best you can, see how it turns out.
Don't know if you had a chance to hear any of the interviews with Ricky Pearsall and Graham Mertz, but they talk a lot today about becoming bros, you know? Um, and they talked about the fact that they have come so close, they hang out together, they watch some football, um, and they said that they've gotten to be real tight, and do you think this helps a team like that? And did you have one or more receivers that you hung with?
No, not really. I usually, what's funny is my best friends on the team were all walk-ons that never played. I hung out a little bit with the O linemen. I wouldn't say I even hung out with the wide receivers that I can think of, but look, it all goes back to what I saw in the summertime. Graham Mertz has the natural leadership ability. Some people are just blessed with it. You don't have to act like a leader. You don't have to rah-rah. You just are. And I think Ricky Pearsall is kind of the same way, and they kind of gravitate towards one another. And it's good to see. These two guys, they'll be a big part of the Gator football team when we play in Jacksonville. There's no question. These two guys need to play at a high level and make some plays.
I was talking to Urban on Friday on our show about the impact of Brock Bowers. And I know people say they got talent behind them and don't worry about it. But to me, it's a lot more than that. And because you got a quarterback that is really kind of struggling on third down, looking for somebody to bail out. Brock Bowers was the ultimate weapon. How much will that change things for him in terms of not having that go-to guy when he really needs somebody to bail him out?
Well, Brock Bowers is a special player. There's no question about that. Just a difficult matchup for anybody on the defensive side of the ball. Him being out, I mean, we'll find out early in the game how it affects Carson Beck. I mean, I do know that, when you have a good, solid tight end, it's kind of a safety blanket for quarterbacks, and they utilize their tight ends very well at Georgia. I don't know who their backups are. I'll know here in the next couple of days.
I can tell you, one of them is Culp. He's a 5-star. I've looked it up.
Well, they're all damn good. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Now, they're not as good as Brock Bowers, regardless what kind of stars they have, because he's a unique football player. Will they miss him? Yes, but they got so many other good players around the quarterback. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right. Look, I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on the idea that Florida's going to win this game. But I do like the way the direction's going for obvious reasons. And at some point, it's going to end. And I don't know how to win and what. But is this a year when Florida does have a real shot of winning this game? Because people like your former coach are saying they do have a good chance. I agree it's a puncher's chance. I looked up the term to be sure. The puncher's chance is a boxing term, which basically says you have little or no chance. So I don't know. Is there any hope there on your part?
Oh, absolutely. Georgia's not what they've been the last 2 years. Carson Beck's had a good year, but I got to see him play a big game like this and make plays. Stetson Bennett was phenomenal the last 2 years. But you got to think, too, this is the most dynamic offense that Georgia has faced up to this point this year. I mean, they have not faced the skill players that Florida's going to throw at them. They haven't faced a quarterback like this. They haven't faced wide receivers or running backs. Now, we got to block them up, which is going to be difficult, but this is the best offense that they have faced to this point. Secondly, I just mentioned, if you look at this weekend, huge underdogs won a lot of football games in college football.
True.
It's happening all over the country. So, we'll see. Like I said, Georgia is the champ till somebody knocks them off, and hopefully we do it.
All right, we had some kind of crazy games this weekend. Which one jumped out at you? I mean, Florida State should have lost that game.
Well, Florida State, they're not as good as their record indicates. Duke had them on the ropes, and then when Riley Leonard, their quarterback, was not even 60%. When he went out, it was 20-17 late in the third, ball on about the 6-yard line, 1st and goal. Duke ran it 3 straight times with their backup quarterback and then went for it on 4th down and threw the ball. I have no problem with them throwing it, but throw it on 2nd down, give the kid a chance, or kick the field goal. But Florida State's, they're a good team. They're not great. North Carolina went down to a bad Virginia team as a 24-point favorite. USC went down to Utah. There's other ones that I don't have in front of me.
Those are big ones. Those are all big ones.
Yeah, they're big. And, hopefully we have a big one Saturday night.
Yeah. All right. So the Heisman has changed. Obviously, the USC's quarterback is now kind of out of the running with 2 losses. We're hearing a lot of different people out there, Michael Penix, etc.
He had a horrible game, by the way.
That's true. He did. So who's in my Heisman hunt?
If I was a voter, I'd give it to Jaden Daniels at LSU.
I'm a voter. I'm going to take that into consideration, okay?
Well, he has had an unbelievable year. They are averaging over 47 points a game, over 300 passing, over 200 rushing per game, their team. I just think he's playing phenomenal football. And, the leader right now in Vegas I saw this morning with J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback.
I know, Michigan.
But I think Jaden Daniels has had a phenomenal year.
Do you think Michigan is going to be the team to beat? I don't.
Possibly, but again, I go back. The Heisman shouldn't go to the best player on the best team unless he's the best player in America.
That's the way it is now, though. That's the way it is.
Well, I know, but Tebow won it on a 9-4 team. I don't agree with that. I think if Jaden Daniels, they have 2 losses right now. Even if they lose another game or 2 and he has the year he's had, he should win it over somebody that's the quarterback of an undefeated team.
Yeah, and of course, do you agree that it should be other players besides quarterbacks and running backs taken? And can a defensive guy win it again ever?
Oh, I have no problem with – if you're the best player in America, you should win it. But I don't know if there's a defensive player out there that's the best player in America. Brock Bowers is one of the best football players, but he has no chance of winning it now.
I'm voting for him. He'll be on my top 3.
Well, he's not going to play another game, buddy.
Well, he might play at the end of the season. If he does,
that's true.
If he does, I'm putting him on my ballot. I think he's a great football player. It's too bad he had to miss. He probably has no chance. I made up my mind about Brock Bowers last year. I'm voting for him for the Heisman. He's a great football player. So, anyway, these things can come about later on. All right, so Shane wrapped this up with going back to the final thoughts of what we talked about all season. And you've been consistent in 2 things. You kept saying, don't worry about Graham Mertz. He'll be fine. And you've told us that all season when people were crying and whining and complaining. Turns out the guy hadn't had just a good season. He's had a phenomenal season, number one. Secondly, you also told us Florida is going to win 8 games. You still like that?
I do, buddy. It ain't going to be easy, but I'm sticking to it. Missouri's better than I thought they would be.
Yeah, right.
Florida State is about what I thought, but they got to come to our ballpark. Yep. Arkansas is struggling mightily.
Boy, 6 in a row, right?
Yeah, they're 2-6. They're changing their offensive coordinator. I don't know if that's going to help them at all. Mm-hmm. They're not a very good football team. And then, LSU, they can score now. They can score in bunches, but they can't stop anybody either. So that'll be an interesting game. But, the biggest thing is I want us to go out. I want us to play a really good, complete football game, see if we can beat this Georgia team. Mm-hmm. And and go from there. I want us to be competitive. I want us to go in there, compete, be physical, hit them in the mouth, and see if we can win a football game.
I'm going to make a declaration here. It's not anything that you don't believe, too. But if somehow Billy Napier wins this game, he now is set on track to become one of the great coaches of Florida, in my opinion, because that means his program's turned around. He's got to follow it up. I understand. He won't be Urban. He won't be Spurrier. But after those two guys, I mean, who is? Ray Graves or whoever. Bottom line is that Billy Napier has built a foundation here, which I know you agree it could be a championship foundation. He's just got to put the results together. Now, they got a heck of a pickup, 5-star defensive lineman over the weekend, which is really big news. McCray, and that's a huge gift for them. I don't follow it closely. We're going to have Matt Quadraro in here in a minute and talk about this, but this is the kind of momentum you need to have, right? So,
well, yeah, when you have good players, man, you can win a lot of football games.
Yeah.
And, Billy's got a great class for 2024. You keep winning games, keep doing it the right way. I think kids want to come. I think kids like playing for Billy Napier. I think they think he's, a humble football coach. And I think he's got us headed in the right direction. And hopefully, it would be wonderful for the program, recruiting, everything else to find a way to beat Georgia. And if you don't, we still got a chance to have a hell of a year.
Well, at least you feel like you got a little hope. Early this year, I don't think people thought there was any hope. And that's what people want to hear. They got a shot here. Again, a puncher's chance. Not much, but a chance. So we'll see. And Shane, I won't talk to you on this show. I'll be on your program tomorrow morning. Between now and the ball game, if you had to pick it right now, I'll give you a right to change your mind. How would you pick Florida, Georgia right now?
Well, I'm always going to pick the Gators to win, buddy.
Right.
Just because I'm a homer. But it's going to be tough. It'll be very tough. We got to have some breaks. I mean, Georgia's very good, man. We've got to figure out a way to match their physicality because they are so powerful and so physical on both lines of scrimmage. That's where we got to come to play. I think skill-wise, we're right there with them. But physicality, we got to match that intensity in the Gator Bowl on Saturday.
The great Shane Mathews. Listen to whoever you pot up with Mathews. I'll be having the honors tomorrow morning. Shane, I'll talk to you then. Thanks, buddy.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Sorry for all the difficulties we had there getting with Shane. And we're back now. I see we got Matt and Franz in the orange and blue room. Let's hear from our sponsor on Meldon Law Monday. We'll get right with Meldon Law. We'll get right with Matt and then Franz. And Jeffrey, you do a show where you ask a lot of questions. I've got one for you right now, okay, regarding how do you know whether your case is being handled right and what to do about it. In medicine, you can get a second opinion if you're not satisfied with the doctor's opinion that they have. And do you have that in law? Can you do that with lawyers?
Yeah, buddy. As a matter of fact, we get quite a few calls from folks that have signed up, particularly with the big box law firms, that they do a hell of a good job of putting ads on TV. But after that, they don't really measure up to the way we try to create a client experience that's outstanding. And we're always willing to review a case and give a second opinion, just like with a doctor, because not all law firms are created equal.
I guess that's the normal thing. Just go to Meldon Law, Google it, and find out, and just give them a call. And like you say, if you come in, you get to see a Meldon. You don't get shuffled off to somebody else. You get to see a Meldon, and that's good to know because a lot of people don't know how to do that stuff, like me. And maybe you can coach us through. So Meldon Law, they won't back down. They will take your questions about your case if you have a question.
Yes, whether it's a new case or an existing case, give us a call. We'd be glad to go over it with you. There's no charge to review your case with you. And a lot of times it makes good sense just to get a second opinion.
Good stuff from Meldon Law. They don't back down, but they will give you a second opinion. Thanks very much, Jeffrey. Now we'll go to the orange and blue room. We've got Matt Quadraro, Franz standing right behind him. Matt, with some big news this weekend. How you doing, man? The first real big get by Billy Napier what certainly L.J. McCray likes this place. He's been here, 7 times? Talk about what this guy's about, how good a player he is, and why. Are you there, Matt?
Yeah, well, he's definitely at the top of the. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. We got you. Go ahead. We got
Yes.
you,
All right.
Matt.
I think I'm a little bit backed up.
Yeah.
But he's at the top of the list in terms of the recruits that Billy Napier has been able to capture. He's top rated by a couple recruiting platforms in the 2024 class for Florida. He's a really, really strong defensive lineman. He wins a lot of the battles that he's faced with up front. He does need to work on his hands a little bit, but his lower body very strong and very quick, which makes up for that hand speed. But that's something that'll be worked on at the collegiate level. And he's just a very exciting addition to the 2024 class. And Billy Napier is looking to continue to build on a couple other targets with that the Gators still have their eyes on.
All right, Matt, as a sort of recruiting coordinator guy, you follow this. Give me the reason why you think they got L.J. McCray. I know what persistence was one of them. They stayed after him and kept getting him there. Why were they able to get this guy in Florida?
Well, one of the big reasons that McCray pointed out was the way that the coaches interacted with him. It wasn't just one or two guys; it was a whole group of the staff that was really focused on him, and that made McCray really feel like Florida wanted him more so than McCray wanted to kind of settle for his school. He felt really, really connected to the coaching staff, and then he was also on campus at the same time as DJ Lagway and a couple of the other guys that committed at the beginning of June. So persistent attention, kind of like you said, from both the coaches and the other fellow recruits that really made him feel like Florida really wanted him.
Great stuff from our recruiting coordinator, Matt Quattro. Matt, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, take care. Let's go into the back in the Orange Boot Room and talk to the Iron Duke. He's there. He's ready. He's got the game face on. Wait a minute, he's hiding his face. That's not a good sign, folks, out there. I thought he'd be hanging from the chandelier today. Ready to go kick some bulldog booty, man. What's up with you, Franz?
Well, it would be nice to kick the Bulldogs, but as Shane was saying, this is going to be a really tough ball game for Florida to win. Florida's margin for error is very, very, very small. I asked Billy today at his press conference about. Said, you have a smaller, window of opportunity here. You have fewer opportunities to make a mistake, because if you make one against Georgia, they capitalize. You can't be down there and get and have first and 5, and all of a sudden, first and 10 at the 15, and all of a sudden it's first and 15 at the 20. You just can't do that. And they did that against Utah. They did that against Kentucky, and they played themselves out of a ball game. And if you do that against Georgia, you're going to typically lose the ball game because, I hate giving credit. You know how I hate giving credit to anything Georgia. But one thing Kirby Smart has done is he's developed a team that over the years has made you beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. They have made you beat them. When they lose, it's because you played better than they did, not because they gave the game away. So Florida can't afford to go down there and go to Jacksonville in a give the game away mode. They have to go there in a one that says nobody's perfect, but we got to be as close to perfect as possible.
We've seen a bunch of these games, Franz. You wrote about it this week. I wrote about it. You talked about what happens to Halloween, the full moon. There's always Halloween, always a full moon, and weird stuff does happen. I don't know if it's weird enough for Florida to win the game, but and I know when things start happening in the game, weird stuff starts happening, it changes the complexion of everything. And you add in there, and again, I'm probably looking for a pipe dream how Florida can win, but you add in there that suddenly the security blanket is not there, that Brock Bowers is gone, and when that third and long is not working as good, and you're not getting those long runs or whatever. And I think Florida's team will come alive in a big way. Whether it's enough to offset Georgia or not, but Georgia's not the same team they were, friends. They're different. They have some flaws. We'll see. They're big and they're fast on defense. I will say that. And it's going to be on Billy to find some ball plays that work and get some guys open.
Well, Florida has got a puncher's chance in this game. And the last two ball games are the reason why. They have Trey Wilson in there. He changes the game horizontally, makes you defend the entire field. And the way they use him in motion, you've got linebackers shifting, safety shifting, everybody moving over. That often sets up a one of these quick hitters, when you got, it's kind of like what happens when you blitz, okay? Good quarterbacks who are good at reading, you see the guy coming, that's the linebacker. If you get him and you can hit the guy on a slant, for example, right behind where the linebacker left over, it can be a great big play. Spurrier was an absolute master at getting the slant to go when right as teams brought the house. I can think of, for example, the Auburn game in I think it was 1999, might have been 2000. I guess it was 2000. The Auburn game when Auburn came here pretty highly ranked, and it was like 14-0, 21-0 before you know it. And part of the reason was Grossman hitting that little slant pattern right behind Tommy Tuberville's blitzing defense. And so you got to be aware.
You call that making them pay. That's what that's called. Yeah. Making them pay.
You've got to, Georgia does things. Georgia is successful, I think, mostly because they're able to play you straight up. They're able to play, their four guys get enough pressure. But here's the other thing that Georgia is really, really good at, and it was mentioned today by Billy Napier. They are good at keeping you at 3rd and 6 or longer, as opposed to, what a coach likes is he likes at 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. Those are good pass. 3rd and 4 is outstanding because you got a defense that doesn't know whether to play the pass, play the run, whatever. But all of a sudden now you get 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. It's pretty cut and dried what's going to happen there. It's a passing down. Georgia's so good at getting you in passing downs. And this is what Florida has to avoid. Florida's got to move the pile. They got to be in 3rd down and short situations. 3rd and 2 is makeable. 3rd and 6 against Georgia is not so makeable.
We both used a term this week in our columns separate from each other, the term puncher's chance. We've heard it so many times in sports. I looked it up just to be sure again. Basically, it means you have little or no chance to win the game. It's not a positive stat, but it does probably is an accurate portrayal of Florida's chances in this game. I kind of like when you got a puncher's chance, when you've been beating these guys like you have. They have a puncher's chance. I want to say one thing, though. I am not a big fan of running the football on 1st down all the time. Now, Billy's gotten away from that sometime. How you avoid that 3rd and 6, you throw a 5-yard pass on 1st down, and then you got running for 3 yards. I'd like to see more 1st down passes. I did like some of the play calling. I like some of Graham Mertz's ball handling skills in the misdirection plays last week. They got to contend at a high level and not go conservative and try to run the football all day.
Well, you got to run the ball against Georgia. If you go against Georgia and you're going to try to beat them just throwing the football, I'd say it's about
not just throwing the football. It's when to throw the football.
Well, my point being is this: if you go against Georgia, feeling that you've got to throw the ball 65% of the time to win, there's a really good chance you're going to lose the ball game. You've got to somehow or another carve out a 50-50 or 55-45 at the very least, run pass. You've got to have the threat of the pass and the threat of the run on every single play, as much as possible anyway. And if you're in a mode where it's constantly 3rd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, you're constantly in a throwing down. And this is where Florida, you don't have to run the ball. Spurrier was great at this. Spurrier knew when to run the ball. And
the second half when he had a 3-touchdown lead, he threw the ball all over the yard the first half, always.
Well, he was very, very good, though, in the first half of games at knowing when to run the ball and when. Eric Brett, I think, I don't remember more than 1 or 2 times him ever getting stuffed on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 1. Do you?
He ran him in the second half, and they were the linebackers drop it. I think that set up perfectly. I just remember that second half. Give it to Eric Red. Up by 10, up by 20. They hand the ball off and run it. He learned his lesson about not running the ball when he lost to Mississippi State. He was on an airplane going home, and Bo Schembechler was on the plane and told him, "You got to learn to run the football." He knew it. Now, what's funny, he went to Duke, and he went to South Carolina and became Franz predominantly a running team in South Carolina. So we know he knows how to run a coach running game.
Well, you're going to have to run it against Georgia, and the thing about it is if you don't have the passing game to offset the run, you got to have that threat of the pass, and play action is an essential against Georgia. I like what they've been doing the last 2 weeks. They've got a guy coming in motion on every play, so you're forcing that defense to defend the entire field horizontally. And then he's running a lot of vertical routes behind it and running the tight end in the middle of the field. And that changes the dynamic. It hopefully will open up some of the run, because when you've got people constantly on the move and you got linebackers shifting this way, what's that old tray counter that they ran with Eric Rett? Oh my gosh, what a great play that was. Going in the opposite direction of the linebackers always works well, and you got to do stuff because Georgia's linebackers are superb.
Okay. How many touches will the running backs get against Georgia?
Well, I think Florida's got to try to slow the game down. I think Florida's got to try to make this a 120 snap ball game, 120 to 130. By that I mean it's kind of like in basketball. You try to make basketball games if you don't have a lot of size and so forth like that. You got to try to make games like that 130-point ball games, where you're going to win the ball game 66-64, things like that. I think this has got to be like 120 to 130 snap ball game. And if Florida can get it in that range, Florida has a really decent chance to win the ball game. Because if you're able to do that, okay, let's just say 65 snaps, okay, for the sake of it. I would say if Florida can run the ball 35 times and throw it 30 times, they should be in pretty good shape.
So why am I feeling the opposite here? I don't know. I say throw the football. Like Shane has said, this is a good passing team. Brent English says, let's give the ball to Ricky Pearsall. He's not getting enough touches. I like him on the jet sweep occasionally. I think they got some really good receivers now that can win their one-on-ones. In my opinion, the way to beat Georgia is not try to run against them, because you're not going to beat them running the football. You're not going to. In my opinion, you got to throw the football. That's just my opinion. Let's see what else everybody else says about it. We disagree on that. Of course,
I don't disagree with you that you got to throw the football. My point being, though, if you don't have a running game to go with it against Georgia, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be run it first down, whatever like that. but you got to be able to run the ball enough times that you've got a threat against him. Because if you're not enough of a threat against them, they're just too good. In just in my opinion on that.
Is this a better defensive team than 2 years ago? I don't think so, right? They had a world-class defensive team 2 years ago.
They're not bad, but they're not as good as that. They don't have. They've got a lot of good defensive linemen. They don't have that one dominating defensive lineman that you got to double, triple up every time, every snap that he's in the ball game. One of the keys is going to be, because of that defensive line, though, whether it's Jake Slaughter or Kingsley Egwicon, and we'll find out Wednesday what that status is going to be. Whoever's our center is going to have help in the middle, and you're going to have an effective double team in the middle. Neutralize that. If you can't neutralize their nose tackle, you're going to have real problems, and so that's got to be a key. We got to have both Leonard on the left side and Mazuka on the right side have to have a good ball game. They've got to be able to help whoever's at center and sustain that block. Because if you can control the guy on the nose, you got a real chance against him. You just really do. And I've watched them, and I've watched every ball game they played this year, not live, but at least on a replay. And if you don't control the nose tackle against them, you're just not going to do well.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to do after this break is come back and let's talk about how Florida got 5 wins. What did they do to get those 5 wins, okay? Let's see how much that might work against Georgia. Right now, I'll tell you about our friends at TitanMRI.com. Titan MRI is worth a short drive to Gainesville. No insurance is no problem. Same day. Scheduling is available. You can pay with cash or card. So easy. Start feeling better today, folks, because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Check them out. Come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location from all over, including Ocala, Marion County, and the Villages. That's TitanMRI.com. 5 wins. How they go?
Well,
last week, throwing the ball 400 yards.
They had the McNeese and the Charlotte games, and let's look at the other 3 wins because they're against SEC teams. Against Tennessee, they got off to a big lead because they were able to stuff Tennessee's run, number 1. But number 2, they were able to convert third downs. And they had Trey Wilson in that game in the first half. When Trey Wilson went out of the game, Billy went ultra conservative. That's one of the things I think a lot of people overlook is the fact that first half was exceptional, largely because of the fact that Florida had Trey Wilson in there. They were stretching the field horizontally, and it really made a big difference in the entire ball game, though. When he went out, all of a sudden, the offense went stale. The Kentucky game was a loss, and we can go into that all we want to, but when you don't stop the run and you commit penalty after penalty that
they gave it away.
Kills your offensive production, you lose that ball game. Vanderbilt was, I thought, the first sign that this offense can really be good, and that was because you had Trey Wilson and Arliss Boardingham in there, and all of a sudden, Ricky Pearsall got a lot of single coverage in that ball game. It made a big difference. And then we saw the manifestation of that in the fourth quarter there against South Carolina when they can't double team Ricky, and Ricky got the ball a lot. And largely because when you've got these other guys in there, it's kind of like when Steve had Ike and Riedel and Jaquez Green. I mean, who are you going to double up when you got that bunch in there? And or when he had Riche and Jabbar Gaffney and Taylor Jacobs, who are you going to double? So he's got a situation there in the last two ball games where he's been able to get Ricky Pearsall free of the double coverage. I asked Ricky today about that, and Ricky was saying, he really just lights it up when it's one-on-one coverage. And I don't think there's, buddy, maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen but maybe one or two defensive backs in the entire league that can cover Ricky Pearsall one-on-one. He's really, really good at that. And, you can stop anybody if you can bracket them and double team them. You can neutralize them, whatever. But when it's got to be one-on-one coverage, this guy's really, really hard to cover. He's got great hands, as we've seen. I got to tell you what, that over the head catch,
fantastic, Willie Mathews,
that he made against South Carolina. I don't know if that's not a better catch than the jump man catch. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. The jump man catch should go down for me as one of the greatest things that Shane Mathews says the greatest catch he's ever seen anywhere, anytime. So I don't know.
It's one of the best. I don't know. By the way, did you happen to see the catch Kyle Pitts made yesterday?
No, I did not. There's
a ball that's thrown behind him, and he reaches with one hand behind him, pulls it in behind his back and front. He reaches back with his right hand, pulls it back this way, gets it in his left hand, and emerges with it.
Like a point guard in basketball.
Then he makes a 39-yard reception that wins that ball game.
Couple of questions for you before I let you go. One of them is Toby Parmer wants to know, what's the deal with Caleb Douglas?
He's got a high ankle sprain. He's coming back, and hopefully this would be the first opportunity for him to be back if he's able to, because it was the Kentucky game, and that's 4 weeks ago. That's about as early as you're going to get back from a high ankle sprain and be effective. So if he's able to be there, that's going to help a lot. But I got to tell you what, Khalil Jackson, that catch he made on that deep ball against South Carolina,
longest ball of the year, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, what a catch. Yeah. And one of the things people don't realize about him is he's just now learning how to be a wide receiver. He was a high school quarterback over at Hawthorne. He played for CI over there. Yeah, and he was not a wide receiver. He was a high school quarterback, and he had to learn how to play the position. And I think he's going to be one of these diamonds in the rough that's going to come up that we're going to look back and say, holy cow, this kid's really, really good. I think he's going to have a good career here. But Caleb Douglas, we should know this week if he's going to be able to go.
All right, I got one for you to chew on here for a minute. You're not going to necessarily like it. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to first tell you about Renstar Medical Research, our good friends here in Ocala, wonderful stakeholders downtown Ocala. They also have a high-quality patient-centered clinical research facility. They bring out cutting-edge clinical research trials to Ocala in areas like Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, dementia, migraines, fibromyalgia, many other things that affect us here in this community and others nearby. And since their inception in 1998, Renstar has participated in more than 700 of these clinical trials. Continue to partner with prominent pharmaceutical companies, biomedical companies throughout the medical industry. If you want to be a part of one of these, go to renstar.net and find out how you can qualify for this and maybe help people out about how to get better care, help better care. That's what Renstar does. They allow us to have better care. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Friends, take a long drag on a cigar and get ready to answer a question you're not going to want to like, but it's quite time to ask it. Are you ready?
All right.
How good is Kirby Smart?
exceptional. And it pains me to say it, but he's exceptional. And here's why he's exceptional. He learned Nick's attention to detail. This is why I think Billy Napier is going to succeed at the same, just very, very well, maybe even as well as Kirby eventually, is because they both have this attention to detail, and that nothing, no detail is too small. Urban used to sweat the details. You did the book with him, and you know how he used to the details drove him crazy. Well, I don't know that the details drive Kirby crazy or drive Billy crazy, but they don't sweat the details because they have them nailed down. And this is why he's so good. He recruits at a great level, but we've seen, look at what Jimbo's doing. Jimbo out recruits him just about, but Jimbo's teams lose ball games and Kirby's don't. Jimbo's teams make critical mistakes. Kirby's teams don't. So it's that attention to detail, I think, that makes him so good. I don't know that he's a great recruiter, but I don't know if he's a better recruiter than Jimbo or Nick, for example. He may not prove in the long haul to be a better recruiter than Billy Napier. But as long as he's able to recruit at the level he does and gets kids to buy into this idea of covering all the details, simple little things. I give you an example, an analogy. John Wooden, the first day of practice, used to spend 20 minutes talking to kids about how to put their socks on so that their socks don't buckle up on them and blister, because feet get sweaty, as you know, and socks will do stuff like that. And he would spend 25 or 30 minutes showing kids, this is how you're going to put your socks on, because we're not going to lose ball games or minutes because you've got a bad blister on your foot. It seems weird, seems inconsequential, but how many times did UCLA have players that miss games because of blisters? Fast forward it to football. You got guys at Georgia who do things the right way, who cover the details, who do things the way the coaches teach them to do it. They don't lose ball games because somebody jumped offside at a critical moment. They don't lose ball games because somebody blew an assignment or didn't get off the field on time. I look back to that Alabama game still in 2020, and one of the most critical plays of the ball game, we don't get a guy off the field. They get a first down off of that. That's a no-brainer. You can't lose games because you have a small detail like that gets overblown. That a guy doesn't sweat the details. So he's got that mentality, and he's been able, I think, Buddy, to impart that on his ball club too. Okay, you've got a job to do, but what is your job to do? Is your job, if your job calls for you to do 99 sit-ups, are you going to do 98 or 97 in slack? Okay, they don't do that, and that's why they're good. I hate saying that about Georgia.
Can't cut corners, yeah, right.
No, I hate saying that about Georgia. I really do.
I know it pains your Franz, especially this week. It really hurts you a lot.
Gosh, so. I despise them. I've despised them ever since 1968.
Well, I think you should write your column this week on how many ways can you hate Georgia. And,
I'm going to reprint it. I do it every year. Why I hate Georgia and why you should too. And we may just have to add a new wrinkle because they've won 2 national championships in a row. That's enough. Yeah. I've long held the belief that General Sherman's greatest mistake on the march from Atlanta to Savannah was he didn't detour 45 miles over burn Athens to the ground, then salt
Okay.
the earth so nothing would grow there for 100 years.
I think it's pretty clear how you feel about Georgia, Francis. By the way, you can read that column if you go to Gator Bait Media and check it out. Thanks to my friend Ty, who signed up today or last night for Gator Bait just to read columns like Franz Beard. And you can read them on Gator Bait. We thank you for your support. We got good stuff coming over there. We got good writers. Franz is, among the best. And he's got basketball coming up where he is the guru of basketball. So all that, folks, no extra charge for Franz's extra little secret sauce he has on that. Francis, great job, buddy. We'll talk to you Thursday night, and we'll see you in Jacksonville, all right?
Oh, definitely. We'll see me in Jacksonville. Can't miss that one.
The great Iron Duke. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to thank our sponsors tonight. Once again, we apologize for the delay. Sometimes these computers do this kind of thing. We got it on the air finally, and thank you for your patience out there, folks. And also thank you to our sponsors, particularly Meldon Law. This is Meldon Law Monday. Appreciate those good folks over there. I was looking at their Ocala office today and thinking about how lucky we were to have people like here in Ocala. Also, Winstar Medical Research, longtime sponsor and friends of this company, of this show, and we really appreciate what they do over there for us. And our latest and greatest, of course, is TitanMRI.com. Not too far for you to drive. They take cash or card, same-day scheduling. Check out our sponsors and support them. We're back tomorrow night. Don't forget, I'll be on with Shane tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow night, we'll have our usual crew, which will include David Whitley and others. And by the way, at some point this week, the head ball coach will be joining us here on the program. So have a great night. Take a good rest and get ready because it's Florida-Georgia week, folks. It is going to be fantastic. Good night.